So Morgan Hill, not just a hurdler, also a terrific lip syncer, and that's an example of the type of fun we've had on BVarsity Live all year long. Unfortunately, I sort of had the idea to pull together these clips at the last minute. So anyway, that's one of the things. We also had the Yut dance in here.
We did.
We had Russ Prado starting the year, the Wasco football coach, just like laying down the law with excitement. Do you remember that? He was like shaking the table. He was so excited.
And then we had
Lexi Keene was in here telling us about her
old soul.
Yeah, her old soul taste.
Fleetwood Mac. And then I had the other one that you and I didn't talk about that I found was with Stavros. What's up, buddy? He just said to give him a shout out, so I guess I will. Him and Anthony sitting over here during one of the Christmas ones leading up to the D1 title games, and I asked Anthony a question, and Mariscal was just like, I didn't hear anything you said. And
just completely zoned you out.
And then you of all people, but then you of all people, you're like, yeah, that's my life every day. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And also, we had Jim Critchlow on the phone a couple weeks ago, which was great. We had Roger Blake in here before the wrestling tournament.
If you guys don't know who that is, it's CIF Executive Director.
So, the fact that we've had those guests on this year are thanks to all of them and all of the kids and coaches who have come in here.
30 athletes last week.
It's our third year
That's
BVarsity?
Right. Yeah, we opened the year.
Fourth year?
I think third year, but the first year was only Friday night football shows. Anyway, so I mean, we're saying we opened the year with how many football coaches? We had 20, 21 football coaches, 22 football coaches.
And if we didn't have them in studio, they were on phone or taped or whatever.
We ended the year with 30 track and field athletes last year, so it's been a tremendous year for us.
We end it with BG.
We're counting down our top 10 moments. Trevor gave you his top 10. I've gone through half of mine. Here's the other half. Number 5 of my top 10 moments of the 2014-15 school year. Same one as you had in your top 10. I believe you had it at 3. South High, again, such a tremendous growth for that program, not only on the field but off the field with their popularity and with their school support and everything. And to end it, there's really only one way you can end it. And they ended it last year as underdogs, the 9 seed, going all the way to the D3 section title. And people say that's great for you. Well, now you got bumped up to D2. Can you do it again? They did it even better. They were the 3 seed and just really dominated on their way to the section title, and then they get to a state playoff game, which we're watching here.
Yeah, they beat Newhall Hart at home in the first state playoff game, win for South. So, yeah, just a fun year for them, fun year for the Rebels.
Yeah, and again, they have some tremendous support. They were in here in their shirts and ties. I think they tie Jaden Watson for the best dressed guest we've had.
Kyle Wiley had them going.
Yeah,
they were ready.
He had them like they had just had their hair professionally done. They had shirts and ties on. Jaden Watson of Stockdale, the hurdler, was in here last week. He did the same thing. So it was a lot of fun to see people dress up for our scrubby selves. Number 4.
It was like Gabe Gator wearing his Vans and stuff in here.
Would you get off of it?
You like that, though. You like that. Number 4 on my top 10 list, and this is one you missed, Navante Demison. Hey, he was number 2 in state, my friend. You put this together and said he was number 3. He made it all the way to the state final as a sophomore. And really, Navante Demison had a great year, but it reached another level at the CIF state championships. Wrestled some really close matches, but somehow found a way to beat really good kids in those close matches until he got to the final. Durbin Lauren of Buchanan, DJ Lauren, they're really good friends, he and Navante, and Lauren got the better of him that night. And then at the national tournament a couple of weeks later, Navante actually beat him on his way to a sophomore national title. So those two may be doing battle again at a higher weight class next year. But Navante Demison, a great run, finishing number 2 in the state at 120 pounds.
Sorry, Navante.
That's okay. He'll forgive you. And besting his brothers, who both capped out at a 3rd place finish. Maybe that's what you were thinking. Natrell and Necto Demison both finished 3rd in the state. Navante was 3rd as a freshman last year and now is number 2 in the state this year. So we'll see if he can continue that.
How great
rise
are those
as a
photos,
junior.
especially the one on the right? I mean, that's just raw emotion.
Yeah. So that was number 4 on my list. Number 3, Ridgeview and Rev. Again, we can talk more about this as we show some highlights of it, but this was a crazy game. I mean, it went back and forth. It looked like Rev was going to blow Ridgeview out. Then it looked like Ridgeview was going to blow Rev out. Then it looked like it was going to be a close game. Then it was Lawrence White getting hurt on a potential go-ahead touchdown run, and instead he was concussed. And it was a 4th and goal play, so Rev took over, and they scored a couple more times. And that's how it ended. But that really only tells the on-field story, doesn't it,
Well,
Lewis?
and not just that. I mean, this is a game that you personally, Zach, where you went, oh, my goodness, how much does Lawrence White mean to that team, especially on defense?
Yeah, I mean, he would come in on defense, and they would actually get a stop on when they needed a big play on offense. If Sheldon Croney wasn't able to give it to him, it was Lawrence White, and he really just did it all. He's coming back for them next year. But again, that concussion kind of changed everything. He had to be carted off the field. That was, I believe, the first play of the fourth quarter.
It was, because that play was supposed to. And
it was a 4th and goal play that would have given Ridgeview the lead. Instead,
2 plays later.
Yeah, Rev goes all the way,
screen
and
pass.
they sort of ran away with it, and that much to the delight of that rabid fan base.
Yeah, that fan base was perhaps the most intense I've seen at a high school game. Incredibly inappropriate at times too.
I think the whole day, from our drive down there, which had several moments of hilarity itself, to
It was a strong day for us.
Yes,
there was no B moments for us.
To eating at, what's the name of the place we ate at?
The Hat.
The Hat, yeah.
It took us like an hour to get there.
And then we got to the game like 3 hours
Solid.
early and watched the sunset, and we had this preview show with Pep and froze our butts off, and then the game, and then the fans and everything. I mean, it was just...
We literally had like 9 different guests. We had both coaches on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was an epic day. I'm not so sure that shouldn't be number 1, quite frankly, when I'm looking back on it. But it was my number 3. So
it was a heck of a day, though. I had a lot of fun. Even if
2,
Lewis was there.
We'll see if you guys can guess the top 2. I think you know one of them because it was Trevor's number 1. But number 2, Ridgeview and Liberty, and this is kind of separate from that bowl game. In these football championships, Liberty in Division 1 against Edison, Ridgeview in Division 2 against Dinuba down here. And they were both these really like nail-biting, tight games in the top 2 football games in Kern County in the central section all year. And Liberty falls up at Edison in the last few minutes, and Ridgeview beats Dinuba in the last few minutes. And
here's Jacob Lopez.
So Lewis, you and I were at D2 with J-Rob.
Yeah.
And Trevor, you were up with Jeff, right, at the D1 game.
Jeff and half in and outs menu, yeah.
Yes, and I mean, so then there's Jacob Lopez with the ceiling interception for Ridgeview, and as we're watching our game, and I'm sure as you're watching your game, we're both constantly checking Twitter trying to get an update from the other game because they're both just coming down to the wire at the exact same time, and it was just a terrific night. I mean, it's one of those nights section football games are made of, and that's one thing we talk about, possibly one day moving football to a doubleheader or triple header system where you can get more than one title game at the same site. And as great as that would be, it would kind of take away from that where you're watching this game in front of you and you're mesmerized by it, but 100 miles away, up the 99, is another great football game, and you're trying to get updates on that game at the same time, and that has a charm in and of itself as well.
I'd rather see both games.
I would too. Okay, I was just trying to make it sound like it was cooler than it was, maybe. And number 1 on my list, as it was for you, number 1, Isaac Trevino wins the state title. Hey, it's a state title. What else are you going to put number 1? And again, this kid was in on our show a couple of different times, and he just sort of exuded this confidence. Like, it wasn't cockiness. It was just sort of like, yeah, in the end, I'm going to win. I know that. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I have no problems with the way he is. I think
he wasn't cocky at all.
No.
I'm not trying to say that, but
and
he
the
was
thing
just
is
sort of...
You get him away, and he's just a nice young man. He just gets that, he's at the top of his game right now, and he's not walking around campus going, I'm the best. He's walking around campus going, hey, who can I hang out with today?
He's fundamentally a different athlete than he was a year ago. I mean, last year he was in the shadow of Blake Haney, and he was also
Blake Haney, who's headed into the NCAA finals as a freshman.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Maybe a step better than Curtis Threlkeld, who was a sophomore at the time last year. And you look at this picture here with Andre Armour on the back of our screen here. He bulked up quite a bit over the last year. He grew about an inch or so, which is perfect for that race. And the kid from Ridgeview won. He looked more like him.
Gonzalez, yeah,
it looked more like him. And was just so confident going in there. Because I think, number 1, when your coach has won a state championship, and then when your coach has also finished second to the guy who holds the state record, Avante Armour is an all-American, quarter-miler, half-miler. The guy knows how to train.
And I think that had to do with Isaac's confidence, because Vondre could look him in the eye and say, I've been there, I've done it, I know this is how it's going to happen. Yeah. And Isaac follows him to the letter of the law.
And it's not just that. He doesn't just follow it to the letter. Avondre says, I've done it, you can too.
Yeah.
And if a guy who's done it before is telling you can do it, you're going to push harder to do it.
And here's the thing about Isaac, who he hasn't just transformed himself physically, but he's calculated in these races. He, the prelim, he said, if I was at 27 seconds at 200, I was going to go for the record. If not, I mean, he makes these adjustments. He knows what he has to do. He knows his competition. He knew he had the best leg kick. Not only did he know he had the best leg kick and the best foot speed in that state final, but he knew the times of all the other guys in their 400s. So he knew for a fact,
Student of the
I'm
game.
2 seconds faster than everybody else. And so if I get to this point in this position, I'm golden. I don't need to do anything else. And so that's where the confidence came from. It wasn't just this braggadocio, I'm the best. It was, hey, I've looked at it. I know this is how it's going to happen. And if I do this, no one can beat me. So that was Isaac Trevino. That was both of our number one moments. And as Lewis was saying, you were probably sorry you missed it.
I was sorry. I was following you guys on Twitter. I was at a funeral that day, but we were catching up to it, and I was very curious not only about Isaac and Morgan and the Shafter kids and everybody and Bryce Huggins and everybody else, and but I was also I've known the Vista Marietta coach Coley Candell for a number of years now, and
my goodness, Michael Norman.
And Michael Norman was just put on a spectacular show, and you put that in perspective. Those are top 10 performances.
Matt Katnick
in the
shot
country,
put.
in the country at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, one of them
Matt
tied a national record. His performance in the 400, and then the 200 was another state record.
St. John Bosco shot putter, Matt Katnick, who they had to draw an extra line in the grass for him to throw because he was hitting the grass every time.
It was a terrific state meet, and it lived up to the billing, and that was a lot of fun. So that was our number one moments of the year. Isaac Trevino just happened this last weekend, and we were glad to bring it to you. We're going to take our last break of the year. We're going to come back with about a 10-minute look ahead at what we're expecting.
Well, not just that. I asked everybody on Twitter what were their top 10 moments.
Okay, we'll go to that,
and we
too.
got some of those coming up,
we'll read some of your tweets, and then we'll get into the 15-16 school year right after this.